Welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead. I'm Papa Pepper. Today I've got some work to do with one of my hose bibs, one of these guys where we get water from, and there's something that I wish I would have learned, or knew even. If I could have just known it before I put this in the first place, it would have saved me so much work, so much headache, and so much effort. I didn't know ahead of time, nobody ever told me, so I'm going to tell you because I know I would have listened. If you don't, that's up to you, but this is one thing you should definitely consider before you ever put in one of these little hose bib water hydrant things. As you can see, can you tell what the issue might have been? I got to dig this one up now. Oh, you're the one running around going, oh, my shirt's so clean. That's going to get pulled back. There's a couple things to just pull that across that. So if you could see when I was digging around there, there was a lot of rock and clay. The ground here is very hard. Also with the depth of the water line, I didn't have a lot of soil to put up around this thing to keep it from wiggling. When we first installed it, within a couple days, it had snapped the thing. I wish at that point somebody would have suggested to me or told me. And of course, you know, I was doing it with a friend who'd done some of it before. I don't know if they knew or not. Nobody told me though. And I didn't have the sense to think of it. But if I put like a T-post or something next to there and drive this down into the dirt next to it, that's going to be able to hold this whole thing still. It's going to be able to have it where it doesn't wiggle, it doesn't break. So now I'm doing all this extra effort after the fact because I didn't do it ahead of time. Mentioned it to some of you guys ahead of time so you don't have to go through all this. I've been meaning to get to this for a while. Finally figured, you know what, let's do this because if it snaps off coming into winter, I'm going to have a lot worse issues just with the temperature and other things too. So I'm going to put this T-post in, lash it together, and get this area covered back up. I initially thought I had a break right now. Apparently I don't, which is good, but I wanted to check that pipe. I don't use this one as often as I could or should because I knew it was compromised. So let's get this T-post in. Couple things I'll pause and mention. Some time ago, one of my daughters told me, "Hey Dad, it'd be a good time for you to go finish that fence." And I said, "Why would you say that?" She goes, "It's been raining for a couple days." At the time, this was a 9 or 10-year-old girl, I believe, who understood that it's easier to drive T-posts into the earth around here when the earth is saturated with water. I had to learn that in my late 30s. She knew that when she was like 9 or 10. That is awesome. One thing, as hard as it is to hold my thing out of the way without snapping it off, and as hard as it is to drive a T-post into the earth with one hand, one, I don't really want my, how old are you, 4? Bug? You 4?
Yeah.
Come here. I really don't want my 4-year-old assistant to be the one entrusted with not snapping it off. Oftentimes I tell my kids, let me do this, that way if it breaks, you know, I have no opportunity to harbor any sort of negative feelings towards you. Because if you broke it, then I'll be like, oh, come on, you. I want to avoid that when I can. And also, if he puts his finger in the wrong place and I smash it or something, that wouldn't be good. So I'm just gonna do it myself here. But the only reason I can do that so easily one-handed is that the ground is so saturated, so that's a bonus. At this point, I'm just using some wire to hold these guys together so that they kind of act as one unit. But this is going to set me up for much better success in the future. I run a far decreased chance of breaking the hose because of how wiggly this thing is. It's still a little wiggly now, but I got a lot of soil to pack in around it. There's a little drain valve that lets some water out whenever you shut it off, so that their water doesn't stay in here and freeze or something like that. So I'm going to put some loose rock around here to make sure it has somewhere to drain to. And I'm going to pack it in with some other stuff, but this is a huge step forward for me. A task that's been on my to-do list for far too long, and I'm going to be glad to cross it off here. Right, Bug?
Yeah.
So just for a frame of reference for anyone, this right here is a drain. So when I turn on my hose, can you shove your bucket under here real quick, son? I'm just going to turn on this hose bib. That fills up my thing, and then if you look, when I shut it off, it lets all this water out to make sure that this doesn't freeze full of water and blow up. Now because of that, I want to have a drain area for it, which is why we're filling in with all these little rocks. And then above that, I'm going to put a big flat rock. That way, soil and debris to fill in all between all these rocks has to get all the way around that thing rather than going straight in the ground. But I thought while I had you here, I'd show you that. Cool thing is, these guys are, what, 8 and 4?
Yeah.
They're learning this at 8 and 4 and knowing about this stuff. I didn't know about it when I was 30-something. Caused me to have to do a whole repair on this before. And actually, that little drain thing, I'd hear that hissing sometimes when I shut off the water. So I'd close off the whole valve to it. Thankfully, I had a valve to it, but I thought I had a leak. I picked up some stuff to do a leak repair just because that's what I thought I was dealing with. And I didn't realize that that little drain was covered. So I'd hear it hissing water because it didn't really have any place to go, and coming up to the surface, up the thing, and I'm like, oh no, we broke this thing again. Now I know better, and hopefully you do too. We'll see you next time. Papa out.
Little Pepper's out. Little Pepper's out.
And as a bonus for y'all, anyone watching to the end, check it out. The boys found a 5-line skink as they were picking up rocks. What a beautiful, beautiful little creature. There you go, buddy. I love those lizards. So cool, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a whole video about these if you ever want to learn about them.
Bucket
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.